Hey, Joe.
Ted. Before Ted Rubin here was named the top CMO on Twitter and other things, he had a different title. He was just called Joe's friend.
That's true.
I've known you for 13 years now.
And I love being Joe's friend.
And I love being Ted's friend.
Yeah, but you're the second Joe.
Yes, and that's Beth, my wife behind the camera. Thank
Hello.
you. Hello. Ted, I wasn't going to let you come to my house without, having an interview with you. I mean, everyone else gets to interview you.
Oh, this is more fun.
This is more fun, and the last time I interviewed you, I erased it.
You did.
By mistake.
And we made it in the car outside your sister's house.
It was great content, but now, here we are. So here's the question. So, I now have the largest medical group on all of LinkedIn.
I do know that. It's exciting.
It is exciting. And you talk a lot about return on relationships. You coined the phrase. Not my whole audience is familiar with you and what you've done. So just briefly tell us, what is ROR, R on R?
Well, it is ROR. R&R is just a hashtag if you're familiar with Twitter. RONR. But return on relationship, simply put, is the value accrued by a person or a brand for nurturing a relationship. And it's measured by loyalty, trust, that converts to an emotional connection, and therefore in the end will add something of value, is what I like to say. So I try to stay away from the term increase sales or increase revenue. I think value is a term that's much more comprehensive.
Well, I'm thinking that a lot of people, I know you do a lot of speaking, and I'm sure one of the questions that you get often is like, okay, well, return on relationships, I get the concept, but really what you mean is return on investment. I mean, the relationship is a means to an end.
Well, it all depends on how you look at it. Yes, it is return on investment when it comes to the corporate world and the brand world and the sales world. I think
that's live taping, folks.
We were discussing how ROR, return on relationship, in the end, it's actually ROI. And what I was saying is that from a corporate standpoint, from a brand standpoint, absolutely. Because the end game of any business is to make money. I mean, otherwise it's not going to be around. From a personal respect, what I try to do and tell others to do, and I think brands can do this too in a certain way, but with a different end game, is that I try to go out and build relationships and do for people that expectation of anything in return. And I find that if a brand can do that to the best of their ability, knowing that there will be a return. You've heard the expressions, what goes around comes around, or pay it forward. These things really have reality. And the way I look at it is that if you look for something directly in return, you end up being disappointed a good amount of the time. But what I try to do is, I feel if I do good for people, others will do good for me. And I found that it really is that way.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense for service. And I think it makes a lot of sense for B2C. But B2B?
Okay, in B2B you're talking about, okay.
So here, most of the people watching this will probably be, say, medical device manufacturers. So I make an ECG machine, or I make rubber gloves. How much of this return on relationship makes sense for me?
Well, I think return on relationship makes huge sense to you because it's all about making people understand that you care about them. So if you just sell something to somebody, and let's take the extreme, you sell it to them, buyer beware, you walk away, you're done. Okay? Again, we're all the way out at one extreme. That's not going to work. The people that show customers that they're willing to provide.
Okay, we're back because I think Beth has shut off her phone now. Have you? Okay, we're going to continue now.
Well, return on relationship is very important in B2B because what return on relationship is that it's making people understand that as you build relationships, as you engage and interact, as you do things for others, things will be done for you and you'll gain loyal customers, you'll gain trust. And to me, I would think in B2B, trust is much more important than it is in B2C. People are going to buy products. They're going to buy Cheerios whether they trust General Mills or not. There might be a better relationship in certain ways, but when it comes to B2B, your reputation is what you are. Remember, a brand is what you do. A reputation is what people remember. And Did you have to do that, Joe? Now, Joe smiles at me because he knows I have one-liners, and I like to use them because they're easily remembered and they're things that people can share. And I will tell you as a small business, in medical and anything, learn to have those things because then they get attributed to you. And when people talk about them, I don't know if they call them a meme now, is that an expression, or other things. I try to use them because it relates back to you, it builds your personal brand, but now, since Joe made me smile, because I knew what he was saying.
Because I know that, I thought to myself, that's very tweetable.
Now, think about reputation for a B2B company. How do most B2B companies get their business? A lot of them get it through recommendations, through referrals, through engaging with the customers. And the better you do for people and the stronger the relationship is, the more likely someone is to recommend you to someone else. It's not just about, did you deliver the product for a good price in a timely manner with good customer service? It goes beyond that. People will recommend that, but they'll go much further to recommend if they like you. People like to do business with people they like. It's really very simple. And it's why relationship commerce is starting to become such a big thing, which is a step beyond social commerce, is that people want to buy things from people they like. And that goes to, think about a retailer. You're much happier buying something in a store where people are nice to, where you feel good about. And, you know, what I think a lot of small businesses or B2B business can do is be more like the guy with the store in the community, the guy who takes care of you, the guy that you feel good about. You know, I'll give you a perfect example. Right now it's very, very hard, right? I mean, everything is going into not only big box stores, but from that into digital. Best Buy, come on, how much longer do they have? A year, 2 years? They're Amazon showroom. You go there, you fill, play, do something with the product, then you go online. You buy it for a better price. So what is the only thing that, whether it be a small B2B business or even a larger one, or local retailer has? Service, relationships. That's what's going to make it happen. I went with my daughter.
That's a good point.
I've got a 15-year-old daughter. You know, I'm a divorced dad. I'm desperate to have time with her count. It's her birthday. I want to buy her something. I suggest some jewelry. Her mom buys her a lot of jewelry. I say, listen, I want you to have something that you really want and you wear. So I tell her I'll go shopping with her, because if I pick something, it's just not going to be the right thing. We go into 2 jewelers, and they treat us the way, they follow you around the store, they're worried about everything you're touching. They won't give my daughter a chance to breathe, and we walk out. We end up in the more expensive store, and there's a salesperson there, what I call a real professional. And she picked up on it right away. And this is what someone with a B2B business understands. They learn more because they're not selling to thousands and thousands of people. So return relationship is even more important because you can get to know the people you're dealing with. She watched my daughter. She realized right away she needed space. When my daughter wasn't really paying attention, she came and chatted with me for a moment just to see what something might be. Then she paid attention. She watched my daughter's eyes. She saw what she was looking at. She'd make a casual recommendation, and then she'd garner information from that recommendation, do a little learning, and then refine her recommendation the next time around. And I have to tell you that when we left that store, I had an experience that I felt right here. My daughter was happy, and not only have I told friends about that experience, I've spoken about it at events, and I've talked about the store itself, the Booty Jewelers in Huntington, New York. I mean, a fabulous place to go. And a small business can do this. But this is about relationships. This woman knew there was a good chance that we were going to walk out of her store. But she treated us the same way as I could see people that were in that store regularly buying jewelry. Because she understood that if you do that all the time, not only do you have those people as potential customers, but even if I never bought anything there, I would have talked about how nice this woman was when I was there. So, you know, let's think about that for a moment.
I know that our time is tight, so I do want to redirect you. You know, I have a number of members who don't have very big companies, maybe, you know, 20, maybe 100, maybe they're startups, and they buy into this notion. They'd love to do that, but they don't have the resources to do it. Or, you know, I know this comes very naturally to you. It comes naturally to me. I love being online and doing that kind of thing. But some people are like, I really don't. What do you tell those people? Because I'll tell you, what I tell them is, to me, social media is binary. Either you do it or you don't do it. Because there's nothing worse than putting a Twitter account together and then seeing 5 tweets, or ignoring your Facebook page. So what do you call those people who are intrigued by what you're saying, but, you know?
Well, I agree with you 100%. Don't start if you're not going to do something with it, if you're not going to make it valuable. Or start, but then take it down. So it's not even there if there's not going to be any engagement. I tell people that feel that it's not for them or don't have the time, don't do it. You know, not everything works for everybody. And if you do get involved in social media, don't get overwhelmed by people telling you have to have a Facebook page, Twitter account, YouTube account, Pinterest page, Tumblr account. I don't buy into that either.
Well, you specialize in?
I specialize in Twitter.
Right.
Now, I do have other places, but Twitter is where I really spend most of my time because I've developed a passion for it. It fits in perfectly with the way I communicate. And again, there's only so many hours in a day.
Right.
So
it won't surprise you that I'm on LinkedIn all the time now.
Right. So what I will say is that depending on what your goals are, if you do have spare hours, if you are spending a lot of time watching TV at night, I would say redirect that and use that time for social and build that presence because I guarantee you it will be valuable.
Now, you and I definitely share a point of view on this. You say, don't give your social media program to your intern or junior marketing person.
What I say is have that junior marketing person or that intern, but make sure they're executing your strategy. Okay, because these people are great at executing. Young people totally get the platforms and the technology better than we probably ever will. But they don't have the experience in marketing or relationship building to be the person that's running points on the way that's done. So I have plenty of interns working for me, or younger people, or junior marketing people, but I train them in how I want them to operate, and I'm the last word, and I mean my own personal Twitter account I run myself. But business ones I will train people to work, and you can do that, but you have to make sure, first of all, that in the beginning you do it yourself. Because otherwise you're not, like anything else. If you have a printing press, you want to know how to do it because when that guy walks out, you have to know how to do it. And it's the only way you're going to really understand the medium and be able to speak to them. And when they come back to you, and they will, and tell you you're tweeting too much or you're not doing it the right way, remind them that this is your brand and your company and that you know what's best for it in that respect. And you'll take their advice again about how to do things technologically, but that there are better ways as far as communicating.
Last question I want to ask you. Now, I know that you are not in the medical device space, and you're not perhaps as familiar as the people watching this video about FDA and what you can and can't say and things like that. And we have a lot of capital constraints. Say, for example, you want to replace a cardiac stress system. That's a $25,000 piece of equipment in a hospital. These people are, you know, is social media for every business, or are there some categories that it just doesn't make as much sense?
Well, there are certainly some categories it doesn't make sense, but what I would tell you, that has nothing to do with regulation. Because here's what I'll tell you about it. You don't have to talk about the regulatory nature of your product to build a social presence. Let's say you're in, again, medical, maybe you want to have a site that has something to do with wellness. Maybe you want something that has to do with physical exercise or things that are around your concept that's of value to your consumer or your people, but not directly related to the regulated portion of your business. So, for instance, for financial services companies, there's lots they can't say, and I tell them, build something about lifestyle, about travel, about something that's related to the financial services industry. And in medical, you can do the same thing, or just offer up an aggregated site. You can do it on a blog, you can do it in social with great links into other people's verified data, white papers, things that are of value. And then leave it as a communication vehicle for the regulated topics, and then follow up that communication via email or some other way where it's more personal and it can be monitored more, and you can have that control that you need.
My friend Ted Rubin, Return on Relationships.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy.
Always a pleasure.